The term leap of faith, if you look in the dictionary, my picture is next to that. And I think when you look at a lot of successful people, they say the same thing. They didn't overthink it, because if you overthink it, you talk yourself out of it.
Those little things that we pass on to people stay with them, even the smallest things. Yeah. I think that's part of what I'm trying to do with this podcast is just to give people a chance to tell the story about how they encouraged others, and to say, hey, look, if you're thinking about making a change in your life and you got a dream, nothing can stand in your way, go do it. And so for people who are listening and who are standing on the edge of a big life change, what advice would you give them?
Don't think about it too much. If I look back at decisions I made, I don't regret a one of them. If I had thought a little bit more of that, I probably wouldn't have.
Own it. Because you know what, Eric, the reality is this, after, I've always been like this, but after my illness and now in the healing journey, the reality for all of us is that 5 minutes from now, I might not be here. I'm going to do as much as I'm allowed to do so that I can give God the glory for giving me the body to do it, the mind to do it, the spirit to do it. So all of this, life is to give glory to God. And that's why you can't sleep on it. I think it's an insult not to go and do it.
I knew I was to be a priest from when I was 7 years old. I used to conduct all the funerals for the dead animals in the neighborhood. I'd take my liturgical funeral services. I probably did it out of the prayer book, dead bird. Not that many years ago, maybe 10 years ago, I asked my mother, who was still alive at the time, hey, Mom, what did I want to be when I grew up? She said, you wanted to be a priest, a protester, and a soldier, and you wanted to be all three at once. I did have a career goal, and I did achieve it. Go do economic development based on Christian principles. And Roland said to me, he said, oh, you're not going to like that. You're going to be really bored. And I started going to class. Oh, he was right. So I went back to Evanston to see my mom, and I had lunch with Reverend Norwood. And I told Reverend Norwood about my plans. Oh, yeah, I finished college, PhD, blah, blah, blah. And he said, oh, why don't you just cut the crap and, become a Methodist pastor?
Don't you love people like that in your life that just kind of...
home to my then girlfriend. And she said, how did it go? I said, I got a job. What are you teaching? I said, yeah, I'm teaching computer science. And she looks at me and said, Joe, you have no, and I will not say the word, idea about computer science. I said, yes, correct, but Monday I will.
You went from MS-DOS to CNC machines, and you went from being a mechanic to being a guy who designs equipment. Keep going. You got me. I'm in. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Dude, you were on the cutting edge of technology like crazy.
I was. I had this opportunity. It may sometimes be hard for you, but if you want it, you can do it.
There you go.
Cousin was a lead captain of the Blue Angels, and I used to watch him at air shows and was always enamored by aviation. And we started flight training, and I really dove in, really enjoyed it. It was hard, it was nerve-wracking at times, but it's something I really wanted to pursue. And
it's interesting how people in our lives, either directly or indirectly, actually have an influence on the path that we take.
And I set a goal, whether it's learning to fly, to be a golf pro, and I just don't stop until I accomplish it. I may not be naturally gifted in any of these things, but if I put in the time and work, I've been able to succeed.
One of the time, when you talk to people about prayer, and they distinguish between hearing the voice of the Father and of the Son and the Spirit, of Mary, and you could hear the different voices, and it was one of those voices. And I said, I don't want to leave my friends, when I very clearly heard the voice of Jesus say to me, in order to do the will of the Father, I had to leave my friends too.
Oh, wow.
It was a point at that point, I realized that there was so much more to life than making money. And from that point on, I remember very distinctly praying that I want to be on the front line of this. I want to be in the front line. And here we are.
I had I won't go into my story, but I had a similar experience where I actually had I guess he's kind of like a spiritual adopted dad that was kind of, when I started coming back to faith again. But he gave me a book, and it's about a young man who had a faith experience, came back to church, got very involved. And then a friend of his came up to him and said, "Have you ever felt called to ordained ministry?" Well, my friend hands me this book and says, "Read it." And I went, "What do you mean?" He says, "Just read it." And I get to that part and I start crying, bawling. And I went, What's going on here? So all I'm saying is that sometimes we think God speaks to us in a loud, booming voice. You know, it's always that small voice, or sometimes it's through other means that we hear the call of God on our lives. You know,
I said to my priest, so I was thinking maybe I would like to go to seminary. And my priest looked at me and we were wondering how long it would take you to figure this out. And so
everybody else knows before us, don't they?
I would tell them, don't be foolish. Sometimes quitting your job and moving to Montana, it's not the best advice that anyone would give you. Don't be afraid.
Don't be afraid. Don't be foolish.
I left church completely for about 20 years. And
wow.
I see myself with self-differentiation. And I see that I was lonely. I see that I was terrified, that the things that I was actually thinking and believing and questioning about God and questioning about creation and about how God works in our lives, I was afraid that what I had been taught in my early years was actually going to come true and I was going to burn in hell. I think the question that I couldn't reconcile was God's creation is perfect. And according to the world standards and religion standards, there is imperfection. And I had a hard time reconciling that people who were different, who were born different and looked different from me, that according to religion, they weren't made in the image of God. But they're God's creation.
Right.
They're God's creation, and God has a purpose. Everyone has worth. Everyone has value. It's up to us to uncover that. And by uncovering that, we understand the beautiful complexity of God.
And it was no doubt I was saved for purpose. And that started my health journey of, oh my goodness, how do I get better and healthier naturally? Right. So I sold everything. I sold my big house, sold everything. And at that time, my kids went to college and I moved into a small apartment. And I didn't know where the journey was going to go. I didn't know where it was going to lead. I was just saying yes. I started looking for health food stores because I was a health coach. And I was led to the store that I now own. When I saw the store, right, that day, what I didn't know, it was going to close in 4 weeks. If I hadn't shown up, the store would have closed.
And the spiritual grounding and everything that you're doing and being faithful to God and God's call is, I hear these words, feed my sheep.
most of Birmingham, about 70% is a food desert, which means there's no real health access to food. So it exposed me to a big divide that still exists in Birmingham between people that have and people that do not have. I'm part of it. I live, work, and play on the west side. And so the vitamins, we dish out vitamin L and vitamin H are free all day. Vitamin L, one, is love. Vitamin H is hope.
Driving one day and a song came on the radio and it was a Leon Russell song. When I heard the song, this book just came into my brain, just like the whole story. I was driving and with one hand and writing as fast as I could the outline of the story. And in the meantime, I had this book that just kind of downloaded in my brain. It's still just an insane notion to leave a steady, dependable, well-paying job to go pursue a career in the arts that makes no sense. And a lot of people thought I was crazy, and they still do. The really exciting part is that it will be filmed here in the Cherokee Nation. That makes me really proud too, because it will bring jobs and some opportunity to hopefully I'll be able to put some of my students on film. A creative writing teacher, and I think you'd be great at it. The Washington Post had written an article, a national article about our hometown that said, the strawberry capital of the world is the death capital of the United States. We were dying in our town 20 years younger than the national average. And so my kids were so mad about it. Research this article and we'll answer the Washington Post as a class.
Oh my goodness. I love it.
They brought our congressman into the school. They recorded their interviews with the congressman, with the chief of police, with the mayor. They interviewed the Department of Environmental Quality, and they just laid it out there. They were like, why is this happening? And if it's true, what can we do to change it? At the end, they ended up uncovering, this is wild, they ended up uncovering a uranium processing plant that had been brought in from California. And it had like an explosion in the 70s, and then the DEQ and everybody, the EPA, on it, and so they started finding them. So it was a shell company, so they filed bankruptcy and left all of their nuclear waste right next to our river. And I get an email, and it's from NPR, and they were like, "You guys are finalists."
Someone asked me why I started Never Too Late, Stories of Reinvention podcast, and I simply said I didn't start NTL because I thought I had the answers. Like many people, I thought my story might be one worth telling, the twists, the challenges, the seasons of doubt and hope, and always fear. And it is, to a point, the reason why I started it. But what I really learned really quickly is this. The real gift isn't my story. It's the story of others. As I sit across from guests who face loss and reinvention and faith shifts and career pivots, illness, burnout, joy, and unexpected purpose, all that's changed me. Their honesty, their courage, their willingness to name both the struggle and the hope. These conversations reminded me that reinvention isn't really rare, it's human. It's what we do. So NTL exists to make space for the stories. Not the polished highlight reels that we're all used to on social media, but the real stories. The ones that say, you're not alone, and it's not too late. So if these stories, these conversations resonate with you, my hope is that you'll listen, and you'll reflect on it, and maybe you'll even share your story along the way. Because what I've learned is this. When we all share our stories with one another, we break down the divisions and the barriers that keep us apart. We really offer each other a gift. And sometimes it's exactly what's needed the most. I hope you'll take a listen to the podcast soon. I'm Eric Cooter. Thanks for tuning in.